So, hello and welcome to the MSB podcast. My name's Thomas O'Reilly and I'll be your host for this podcast series. This series sees me sit down with the partners of the firm and just get to know you a little better and get insight into your career journey. So joining me today, I've got Hayley Catherall, Chartered Legal Executive and Partner, and Paula Mansfield, Partner and Solicitor specialising in family law. Well, you're both family law. Yeah. So thank you for joining me. How are you both doing? You okay?
Good, thank you.
Good. So my first question, Paula, I'm going to come straight to you. Can you just give us a bit of background about your career journey into law and what inspired you to pursue a career in law?
Yeah, I think it was when I was about 12 years of age, and there was an 80s TV show, LA Law. And you can imagine it was very glamorous. And there was a particular character played by Susan Day. She had a blonde bob and she was feisty and she knew her thing in court. You know, she got good results. And I looked at her and thought, oh, that could be me one day. And I think that was the first insight when I thought, this looks like a fascinating job and something that I could do. And then it was perhaps a year later, probably 13, and I had a careers advisor came to speak to me and said, what do you want to do? And I think at that stage, I just thought I wanted to help people. It was no more than that. I didn't say lawyer at the time. It was a general discussion with the careers advisor. And he suggested being a lawyer with a social element. And I thought, that sounds fantastic. That sounds interesting. So I investigated that a little bit further and I agreed with him. I thought it does sound like the sort of job that would be a good role for me. And then I just went down the traditional route after that. I did my A-levels and went to university at Hull, got a law degree there, and did my LPC at the College of Law in York. And then got a training contract. Yeah. And so
great. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah.
And Hayley, I understand that you're a chartered legal executive.
Yes.
And you went down the Silex route.
Yeah.
So can you just give us a bit of background of what that experience is like and how that differs to, the traditional route?
Yes, of course. So I started as an office junior at a very small firm out in Cheshire, and similar to Paula, again, LA Law. I thought, this is something I could do. I went to see the careers advisor and I'd done my GCSEs and A-levels and I'd got to the stage where I thought, I just can't do any more education. I want to be in the working world. So my careers advice came back saying barrister, solicitor, lawyer, or if I didn't want to continue with education, legal secretary or barrister's clerk. So I thought, I'll just go and I'll give it a go and go from there. So I applied and I got a job as an office junior. So I'd only been there a few weeks and I thought, no, this, there's a little bit more to me than this. So I would see the people in the reception so distressed and so upset. And I used to think, no, I need to be able to help you a little bit more. So I asked, could I be ILEX? Could I train? And they initially said no, they needed to see how long I was committed to the firm. So I was there for about 12 months. And in that time, I went from office junior to receptionist to a legal secretary. I really wanted to prove myself. And then I started the ILEX training. And I was so excited. I just thought, this is it. It was so hard because ILEX is effectively a full-time college course at the same time as you're working full-time. And there's so many times when you think to yourself, you've got to study 10 to 15 hours a week as well as doing a Saturday or a Sunday to achieve the grades that you need to be able to get through. And you'd see your friends going out after they were working full time and you're not enjoying the sunshine and you're not doing all of those things. And you'd think, really, this is so hard, but it's so worth it because when you do qualify, you've worked through every stage in offices. You've got a greater level of experience, practical wise, and just dealing with clients generally. So I would recommend it.
Yeah, no, excellent. And you're both obviously, you're really successful in your careers. So in terms, have you got any advice, for people just starting out? Obviously, Hayley, you've said that there's an alternative route into law that will obviously inspire a lot of people. But is there anything else, that you'd words of wisdom you could pass on to?
I think it's work hard is definitely key, isn't it? And as a paralegal or trainee, I wasn't shy of working after 5 o'clock at all. No job was too big, too small, anything. I would try anything. If anybody gave me a job, it didn't matter if it was a partner or another solicitor, or in fact, even one of you, another trainee who was stuck on something, I'd always help them if I could. And I think it's that sort of being committed, really, showing your commitment and dedication. And I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, and Paula, that leads me on to, I understand that you're now a key member in the firm's Equality and Diversity Committee. So can you just give us an insight into what that entails and how the industry's progressed in that regards over the years?
Yeah, I'm a line champion for the LGBTQ plus community within the firm, and it's such a privilege actually to be part of an Equalities Committee. The fact we've got an Equalities Committee is fantastic. When I first started, I've been qualified 21 years now, but it was just completely unheard of. There was no way that a law firm would have even thought of the concept of an Equalities Committee. So to not only have one, but to be recognised, we won the Modern Law Awards fairly recently. And that's just a fantastic achievement, I think, and well deserved. We really do put effort into trying to do our bit, basically. With the LGBT plus community, I've seen such a change since I started. I can remember civil partnerships first of all being introduced. And now we've got gay marriage, and it's fantastic that there's that movement in the right direction. There's obviously more work to do, but it's just brilliant to be part of a committee that's focused on trying to bring policies into the firm that deal with that, and to actively promote positive change. And so far as my role is concerned, we've been part of the Liverpool and Manchester Pride event. There was Liverpool Connect. We were involved in that. We've got the Navajo Charter Mark, and we're trying to now build links with further organisations with links with the LGBT community, and to build upon what we've already achieved so far.
Yeah, no, excellent. And I'm aware that you've both worked at previous solicitors from MSB. So would you say this is something that, MSB is at the forefront of, or, is it like a widespread change across the industry?
Absolutely. I say absolutely for me. I don't know what Hayley's view is, but I think so. I mean, even if you speak to your peers, for example, they don't have this concept within their practice, within their organisation. Some do, granted, but not every firm does. And so I think we are pioneers in that respect, and it's very welcome, and I'm very proud to be part of that.
Yeah, brilliant. And Hayley, would you say any aspect of MSB that was, different from your previous firms, that's, where they really excel?
Yes, definitely. MSB actively promotes education and bringing people forward. The Daymar apprenticeships, that's something I'm really proud to be a mentor of. And also, I think it's offered across the board to all of our assistants if they want to carry on into further education. And it's actively promoted to the point where you can see people moving through the ranks, so to speak, and doing well. And it's inspirational for those other members of staff. MSB's attitude is completely different to the other two firms that I work for. Initially, there was a particular solicitor that was a lot older in one of the firms that I work for who would continually ask me, just remind me, what is a legal executive again? And I used to think to myself, just look at my files and find out. They're a lot better than yours.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And so in terms of your highlights in your career, or even difficulties, obstacles that you've had to overcome, can you share any stories with us?
I'd say a highlight for myself was receiving a commendation from Daymar for the work I did with our apprentices, and then obviously becoming an associate and then a partner as a legal executive, because I'd like to think that helps inspire other members of staff that you can reach that level.
I think it was becoming a partner for me, actually, was probably the highlight of my career. so far as cases are concerned, there's just one case. I won't go into all the facts, to be fair, but there was one case. I obviously specialise in financial settlements on divorce, and the starting point is one of equality. But we got 97% for this client of the assets, so that was a good day in court, and that will always stick in my mind forever, I think. Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah. And so, in terms of the future, where do you see yourselves, your departments moving forward in the future?
Well, when Paula and I started, there was, I think, maybe 6 people in the team. We've gone to 60 odd.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see the younger members of the team come forward, organic growth. But for the firm, I'd like to see the department continue to grow and, show the city centre and the other firms that we are the firm to be reckoned with for family law.
Yeah, it's same for me. Just to see the continued growth and expansion of the firm and be part of that, obviously. Same thing, on a personal level as well. I'm due to qualify as a family law supervisor this year, and it's like the psychological supervision of different family lawyers. It's not just MSB; it's in different firms. So I'd like to be expanding upon that and dealing with that as well as my own private practice. So that's what I'd like to achieve.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
And I suppose in family, obviously, you're faced with a lot of difficult situations, and clients that are, really suffering, in their lives. So can you give us an insight into how you cope with dealing with those issues? How do you get that home work-life balance right? Who wants to take up the...
Gosh, do you know what I do? And I've done this from day one, from qualifying probably from a trainee as well. Exercise is me. I'm going up Ben Nevis in September. Went up Snowdon last year. Boot camp 3 times a week.
That absolutely,
that absolutely does resolve everything, I think. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Hayley, for you?
Walking with my beautiful dog, who I adore, obviously. Get him in everywhere.
Surprised he's not.
He is beautiful.
He is beautiful. Yeah, walking. I really, if it's sometimes it is hard to switch off. There's the good cases when you achieve a really good outcome, you can take your mind back to that and think it's going to be okay. We can do it. Especially if it's a particularly vulnerable client, but a good walk out or a long soak in the bath with the music really loud. So all you can hear is the music and your brain can't think of anything else, and you'll soon find yourself having a little sing-song in a happy place and ready to get up and get back at it the next day.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, brilliant. Yeah. Well, I know from working alongside you both in the family department that we're more often than not faced with very difficult clients. So I ask you, how do you deal with those type of clients?
What you have to remember with family clients, they're usually dealing with, in their mind, the worst time of their life. It's a highly emotive area of law. You have to have patience, okay? And you need the experience of dealing with someone when they're that angry or that distressed. It's talking them down so that they can get across their point. And sometimes you just need to listen, let them get it off their chest. And they won't be prepared to listen to your advice whilst they're still in that heightened state of mind. So it's just a case of listening and then dealing with the problem as it comes.
Yeah, excellent. Paula, your dad?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, your client is in such a heightened state that you can't not receptive to advice at the time. Listening, absolutely, is key. Sometimes I might say, look, you're so upset at the minute. Could I call you back in an hour even? And this, I think we might be able to have a better conversation then. And actually 9 times out of 10, obviously I've listened for an hour before that stage and ring them an hour after that. And actually 9 times out of 10, you could actually have a better conversation then where your client's not as distressed and you can move matters forward.
Yeah, brilliant. And then finally, I don't suppose there's a funny story or a particularly difficult case, that you had to overcome that you'd be willing to share, or, I don't know, an office Christmas party that was particularly memorable?
Do you know what I can remember about a Christmas party is when we all ended up on the sleigh dancing on it. Do you remember?
I do
Paul Bibby was on the
remember.
top of it. Paul Bibby was on
Brilliant.
the top of the sleigh dancing. I'll never forget. And
We actually took
Sean
all the
Sexton's
Christmas
mum
presents out.
was on the sleigh as well. She
Oh,
was
wow.
dancing. That was
Yeah.
it was like the MSB family was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Well,
was
I've
on
heard
the
a
dance
lot
floor.
about these.
Yeah, they are really good
these
dudes.
Christmas
Yeah,
parties. Yeah, I can't wait to experience it.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, that's the end of the podcast. So I'd like to say thank you for both taking the time out to come and talk to me. It's been really insightful. I know I've benefited, so I'm sure everybody listening will also have benefited. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Tom.
Cheers.